We've talked about humility in the context of Daemon throughout this season, and I love that we see him in this episode learn about Viserys' death. It's crazy that we get to see how kind of slowly information moves through this world.
Yeah.
But seeing that hit him, and then later him realizing that Viserys did not share the prophecy with him, that's almost a second version of the dressing down that Viserys gives him in that first episode, sort of that familial demotion. But if you talked about him with I forget the dragon's name that you used, of him with that egg, the first time we saw him on the bridge, this time we're seeing him dealing with a foreign dragon when he goes to try to seduce that or tame that wild dragon, which belonged to one of their ancestors.
Looked it up. It was Jaehaerys' dragon, the king that died before Viserys.
So he's risking his life involving a dragon, but it's for good this time. Like, there's been some reformation within him. And then it balances out with him trying to strangle Rhaenyra. Like, we continue this mess of good and bad with Daemon, but I enjoy that sort of wrestling and stew. But maybe the question to open it up with, in the same way we had no idea after the pilot where Daemon was going. We didn't know if he was going to go fuck off and fight some other war in the Stepstones for the whole season, or if he was going to become Viserys' hand. Where do we think Daemon ends up? Is he a general in this coming war, or is he Rhaenyra's hand?
I mean, he obviously wants to have some sort of militaristic role, but I think Rhaenyra is really hesitant to let him do that because I think he might try and do too much. He seems very gung-ho about making decisions without Rhaenyra in the room, even after she's been crowned. And she's like, hey, buddy, you're not in charge. And then she has to like you said, make everyone leave the room so she can like tell him what's what. So I think she'll probably be hesitant to put him in a role like that. But at the same time, his expertise is needed, and he's not just gonna sit by. But I don't think he'll be happy with being the hand, because that's a powerful role. But he wants,
it's not military.
Exactly. He's gonna want something that's more boots on the ground. So I think yet again, if she makes him hand, he is facing impotence. He can't do what he wants to do. He can't achieve and execute the things he's trying to execute. So I think it's gonna be, no matter what, it's going to be bad for him. He's either overstepping, and that's not good, or he's impotent, and that's not good. So.
I mean, if Daemon's a dog, he should be wearing a collar that says "does not play well with others." Right?
Please do not pet. I am nervous.
Yeah, exactly. And
I want to get one of those for myself.
We're talking about his expertise militarily, but we actually saw that he's not super good at that whenever it comes to commanding a bunch of forces. He's got experience, but to say that it's successful experience, I think, is a stretch, because they were losing the war on the Stepstones for 3 years.
That's true. And it's not like Rhaenyra doesn't have, she's not a typical girl who doesn't know anything about the military. Her father prepared her for these things. So
yeah, and
he's
so
kind of useless. She doesn't need him at all.
He is well, no, I think he is a useful general, but as sort of like a spec ops, like secret task force thing, like hooded Daemon. Right?
Yeah.
That's whenever we see Daemon being able to function
Kermit the Frog
best.
Daemon.
Yeah, exactly. Whenever he's able to sort of go out on his own, right, with a specific mission, a specific goal in mind that doesn't involve like any sort of teamwork or involving another person, if he can go and just knock out that goal, that's where he succeeds the most. I mean, we saw him, confirm the 2 new Kingsguard as well on his own. Now, that was arguably not with Rhaenyra's permission, but that's a thing that needed to be done.
Yeah.
Right? He has to be able to trust them, and so does she. But I think so. That's just one point about Daemon, and he's still a huge enigma. He's still a huge question mark because he's such a rogue element in the show,